So today I thought I will share with you some gift ideas for Christmas, and I made sure to buy these well in advance so that you could have the time and buy them if you wanted to give us presents or to keep for yourself, like a little Christmas present to yourself. So there were here three books at the bottom, which we'll get to, that I really wanted. And these two books that I will show you first, they came up in the Amazon search when I was looking through books, and I thought I'll give them a go. And I personally would give these two together because I find them together gives so much more information. So them two are about abstract paintings, and they are really fun. So they come they're exactly the same format, exactly the same, publisher is the same as well, so but the artists are different. So this one is from Kees van Aalst, I think, and this book is it's called Realistic Abstracts, and it says here painting abstracts based on what you see. So it's kind of like sort of looking at things and painting them in a much more free way. So just to give you an example, you get pictures to follow projects, and then this one is my favorite one, I think. So look at the gorgeous color combination right here, just so pretty. And I will do a flip through for you, so like a separate video thing, but it's very informative, very lovely book to have if you know someone who is into abstract paintings. So that's one. And then this one here is the Abstracts 50 Inspirational Projects by Rolina van Vliet. So this book would be if you know someone who likes to dive in, open a book and kind of just, get messy in their studio or their desk. So this is a very hands-on kind of book. And there are loads of, I think in both books, right towards the end, there's a lot of reference from other artists. So you don't just get to see the work by the artists themselves, but also fellow artists, which is great. And then just to show you a couple of things, I think this is her own work. So here she's talking about techniques and materials. It's a drip painting technique and glazing on foil and canvas. So that's really interesting. Now this one is by Van Eyck, so that's a different artist. And just to give you an idea of certain things. And yeah, it's quite educational. There's loads to read, so you can see there are studies here and explains what to do and the sequence of work. So this one is more like a kind of tutorial kind of book, whereas this one also teaches you a lot, but it's a different format altogether, and it shows you examples of different works rather than how to achieve them in a way, although there are a few examples like that as well. But if you want something a little bit more hands-on, this is a better pick, I feel. But personally, I feel that they're different enough, and together they give you just an abundance of information. So this book is actually Dana Fox. I was amazed. So first of all, this book came up on Amazon search when I was ordering other books, and I was amazed because I didn't know that Dana published a book. Now, I have been following Dana for a really long time, and she is an illustrator here on YouTube. And when I saw that she published a book, I was so excited, and just out of support I wanted to get it. But it is a really good book. It's really fun. So it's called Watercolor with Me in the Forest, And this book would be great for any kind of age. You could give it to someone who's younger, middle age, older, it doesn't really matter, because, you know, the other books are obviously kind of more presents for adults really, or like older teenagers that are into art or studying art. But this book could also be great for younger people, children as well. So the idea of this book is that it's printed on watercolor paper, or paper that will take watercolor. So there's a little bit of tooth to it, so I'll show you, which you hopefully can see. So it says here, to everyone with creative, colorful spirit and a sense of childlike imagination. So it's really kind of cute and neat. I mean, her illustrations are very, very pretty. I like her style a lot. I like the colors that she picks, and I like how loose and effortless it is, but looks really gentle and pretty, really. So projects, you've got a breakdown of, it feels like I'm doing a full-on review, but anyways, let me just show you quickly. Wet on dry, wet on wet, painting fur, ink and wash. So you get different animals, flowers, whatnot, and you get like a rough outline which looks like a pencil drawing, and then you get the colors. So it tells you here the exact colors you need to use, the supplies you need for it. It talks about the actual subject or object, and what else? And then it tells you in 5 simple steps. Sometimes it's 4 steps, sometimes it's 6, but basically in a few simple steps it tells you exactly what to do, and then you can basically try and doing it. And I think it's fantastic for Christmas, when we all are settling in and we eat loads of food, put the fireplace on and just relax and watch TV. And this is something you can just do on your lap in the living room. It's very easy, very effortless, and just super fun. And then later you can, you know, flip through and see your own work, or better yet, you can even photocopy it and stick it into a frame. Or if you really, really wanted to, you could pull the page out, but I personally wouldn't do it. So yeah, great, fantastic book as a present, loving it. You will see a review, separate video on that. Next book. So this is again kind of like a fun book, which is sort of, I feel like it's inspired by children's art. And having a 3-year-old and seeing him, how enthusiastic he's into art and how he actually expresses his artistic side, is very interesting, because children just don't think about, shall I place color here or shall I place it there? It somehow happens in a very haphazard way, and sometimes you look 5 minutes later over the shoulder and you think, oh my goodness me, this looks amazing. So children are very daring, and they just use their instincts to create art, and sometimes we lose that. Or we have terrible art teachers that tell us, you know, don't do this, do that, or, you know, this could be represented in a different way, etc., etc. So it kind of, sometimes we lose that sense of art. And this is why I love this book. It's by Diane Culhane, and it's very, very unapologetic, very simple, but super fun. So it's called If You Can Doodle, You Can Paint, Transforming Simple Drawings into Works of Art. Now, it has some pretty basic stuff, as well as showing you how to actually turn something into quite a fun thing. So, for example, here, it looks like it could have been done by a child, but if you look closely, it is quite pretty. So I do like that, and I think it's very encouraging for someone who hasn't even done any art previously at all, to be inspired by something like that. You know, we can just scribble a little here, scribble a little there, And look at that, there's a whole wall of art. So it really depends how you interpret art and what you see as art. And I find her work really inspirational. Some of the pieces I really like. Look at the colors here. Again, you could think that maybe a child did it, but no, the colors are quite sort of interestingly placed. So there is turquoise and yellow, which work really well together. And then there is this really simple doodling of a little boat, which definitely could be done by, you know, a 5-year-old, but at the same time, it works. It just looks lovely. It's so simple. Here, you know, when she's talking about taking the same object and doing it in different ways, again, something we did at art college very often. So yeah, I think it's really fun, and you can see it's quite abstract as well. So you can take it to another level if you want to, or you can start quite basic with this book. So great fun book. It's new. It was published also this year, and yeah, highly recommending it. Okay, so the final book I recommend, this is quite costly. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was about $30 or $40. So I ordered some of the books on Amazon because I had gift cards there. So it's quite costly, but it is a fantastic book. Whenever it's by DK, you know it's going to be a gorgeous book. So it looks like that on the side. Artists, their lives and works. And I think I told you before, I had this really super old book from back in the college years about different artists' work, and I wanted something a little bit more updated and just a great coffee table book that would be inspiring to look at other artists' work. Now, the fun bit about this is that it's not just explaining some of the works of the artist, but it explains their life a little bit as well. So you will find things like certain things about the artist that you didn't know before. So let me just give you a little. So this is Cézanne. I love his work. So it tells you the years that the artist lived, where the artist is from, gives you a few pivotal points of their artistic lives, as well as their kind of outstanding pieces of art, and then things like that. So I wanted to show you here. So here's Claude Monet, and obviously he's known for his water lilies. And what's interesting is that first of all, it says here Monet glasses. So as Monet grew old, characters blurred his vision and distorted his color perception. 2 operations and a special pair of eyeglasses restored his eyesight. So I knew this from before. There's a couple of other artists who, obviously back in the day, the lighting was poor, the paints were toxic, so their art was directly affected by certain aspects of how their health was also affected by art. So, and then you could see how certain artists would lose detailing of their work, etc., throughout their lives because of that. And it's just, to me, it's really interesting. Then there is also Monet's palette. So this is his original palette that he used, and it's also trying to explain that you can see the color placement, that it's very similar to how he would paint in the kind of blocky kind of way. Also the vibrancy of the colors. And then what was interesting is that I didn't know that the first watercolor tube was invented in the 1841, and that made again the artistic life of Monet very different, because he then finally could take these colors outside and paint outside, looking at things. But also it gives you the history here of what was used, what kind of setup was used for watercolors before the watercolor tube was invented. So it says here, until then, artists' oil paints were, sorry, did I say watercolor tube? I meant a tube of paint. So it says here, until then, artists' oil paints were ground by hand, mixed with oil and stored in pouches made from pig's bladder, which the painter pierced to squeeze out the paint. So you can see that it's really interesting to know certain things that we don't really think about these days. You just go and purchase your pan of watercolor or tube of watercolor, and you know, and that's it. So it's a beautiful book to have, and yeah, it goes chronological. It has a chronological order, so it starts from the earliest art of work and goes to the latest one. Let me actually see what the latest one is. So the latest one is Takashi Murakami, and yeah, that's the 1945 to present. So that's her, the end of the book, really. So yes, how very interesting. Okay, so I hope you found it inspirational. I will do also a separate video about other gift ideas, which will be a mix of paints and possibly crafty things as well, but that's coming soon. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching and see you soon.